Hello, everybody. This is Stan Scott from Foggy Bottom Line Media. Just want to do a short video to let you know about some stuff that's coming up, some things I'll be covering, and maybe sort of a regular schedule of podcasts and live shows that Scott and I plan to start doing starting next week. Before I get into that, however, let me remind you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's very important that we get a bunch of subscriptions. It's free. Just hit the subscribe button. You can ring the bell as well if you want to, and you'll get notifications when new episodes are posted. But the more subscribers we can get, the better the algorithm will treat us. And then you can go to Patreon, look us up there at Foggy Bottom Line, and there you can get a paid subscription that will get you access to some things that that the free YouTube stuff won't include. So let me know what you think. Subscribe, like, share, talk to your buddies. Check us out. I think we've got a good product here, and we need your support to keep making it. I'd like to do some investigative stuff too, but I'll need some financial support to continue that work. So starting on Monday, January 12th, I'm going to start going live every day, at least for a little while, and most days. Monday mornings at 10, I'll do the coffee show I did last week. And the rest of the week, I'll go live at noon for about half an hour to talk about the issues of the day, what's on my mind, and things like that. Topics will be the ongoing ICE stuff. There was another shooting in Portland yesterday, I think. 2 people were shot. This apparently is quite a bit different, and may, in fact, have been justified. No one's saying that they never are justified in shooting someone, only that they weren't justified in shooting Renee Good. But in this case, I haven't seen any video yet, so it's hard to parse that until we know more, but I'll be talking about that. I'll also be talking about the cell phone monitoring software that ICE has started to use. I think there's 2 platforms. One's called Tangles and one is called Weblock. What this allows them to do is snare the information from a cell phone that wanders inside of a perimeter they set. So, for example, they could set a perimeter around the operations they're doing in Minneapolis or one of their headquarters buildings or the hotel they're staying in locally. And then any cell phone, for example, from a protester that gets inside that perimeter, they capture the data and a signature which allows them to track that cell phone wherever it goes, in the country or the world, which means they could use that information to find out where you live, where you work. This is a strong surveillance state tool against protests and demonstrations, because it'll make people nervous about showing up at these kinds of demonstrations. Some of this is the work of a company called Palantir, Peter Thiel's company Palantir, which is a huge surveillance state company. And this ought to be scaring people. Even all you conservatives out there who think that I'm some kind of liberal scum who only wants to overthrow a rightfully elected president, Trump, you should be nervous about this too. Because this surveillance state technology, if you've ever seen the movie with, I think it was Will Smith, the Enemy of the State movie, if you've ever seen that movie, this is what we're talking about. Literally being able to look inside your home using the devices that are in your home. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'll talk about what I call technocracy. Back in the 30s, some people created an idea they called the technate. Think caliphate, only technate. This idea was that they would create one big country, really more like a corporation, because it would be run by engineers and technocrats. Okay, only people with expertise would run this country, and that's an interesting notion. That this is an idea that's starting to gain more traction on the right wing, especially among the billionaire class, who believe that because they're super wealthy, they must be smarter than everyone else, and they should be running everything. Well, these are the same people, of course, who didn't want to trust experts who told us to get vaccinations, and many of them still don't. So that'll be an interesting thing to follow, and that'll be a separate show, the technocracy, where I'll follow up on that. at least with a series of shows, if not a permanent Foggy Bottom Line media show. And then finally, I'll talk policy. I'll talk foreign policy. We've already sort of, I don't know, invaded Venezuela and deposed their leader. Will we do that again? Trump is talking about taking over Greenland, which would be an attack on a NATO country, which is interesting. And I'll be talking about foreign policy in the context of international relations theory, which is where my academic training comes in. But I'll also talk about other kinds of policy, welfare policy, social support policy. I'll talk about healthcare policy, infrastructure policy, these things that Scott and I like to call social infrastructure. Okay, so the healthcare system, the social support system, mental health care systems, hospitals, even things like Alcoholics Anonymous. All of these things are part of the social infrastructure that helps bind us together as a society. Entertainment is a huge piece of this. Okay, and I'll of course be doing shows on what I call other silly things, and maybe now and then I'll weigh in on sports. But what I'd like you to do is subscribe to the channel, take a look at us on Patreon, take a look at us on Instagram and TikTok, and then set your calendars. Remember, noon every day, 10 o'clock on Mondays, noon on the other days of the week. We'll take weekends off. But we're going to start churning out some content. We think we have a good product, and you can help us catch on by subscribing, by sharing, letting your friends know that we're out there. We got a lot of good stuff coming. And then I'll be recording the first of the Topics in American Politics lecture series next week as well, and I hope to get that up by Friday. So take a look at us, let us know what you think, like, share. You can find us at www.foggybottomline.com, where you can reach out to us. My email address is rstantonscott@foggybottomline.com. So shoot me a note, let us know what you think, and we will be back on Monday live at 10 o'clock a.m., on Tuesday and Wednesday at noon, and then the regular podcast will pop on Thursday, also around noon. So take care of yourselves. Have a great week. Hope you had a great weekend, and we will see you next week. This is Stan Scott, and I'm out here.